Welcome to episode 84 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host is back, Warren Sklar. How you doing, Warren?
I am back. I'm doing good.
I don't know why I keep saying you're back. You're here every week, so well, I mean, most of the time. So
I'm back to the kitchen table.
Back to no good.
Yeah, I am back. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're I'm coming off of some meetings at work the last couple of days, so did some training. So I'm kind of in a training mode. Had some fun doing that, and we're recording this a day early, and then of course we're going to be doing Guy's show after this. So that's going to be interesting. So we'll have our perspective of what we talk about today, and on this show, and see what happens on the other one, right? So we got some great stuff to talk to you about
all night.
What's that?
So we'll be talking all night.
Yeah, well, we'll keep it brief. At least on someone else's show. No, we love you, Guy. Yeah. Don't ever think that. We love you, Guy. So we got some news to talk about this week. It's beta time again. I figure, what? I'm gonna make that a topic. I always made it a news story. I just said, we're all both on the cutting edge. Well, I use it on devices I don't care about. You put it on devices you do care about. But we'll talk about that. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about iOS 13 security and some settings with that. That's some topics, and got some tips in place here. And we'll just keep cranking here and see how things go here. So first story was Disney has surpassed 28 million subscribers since launch, which I find that to be crazy. They just started, November was it? And
yeah, they got a late start.
This was a story in The Verge. And they're also saying Hulu and ESPN Plus are seeing impressive subscriber increases too. I wonder why, because they bundled it.
They're bundled.
I have it. It's $12.99 a month. You get the bundle between Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus all in one package there. But I think it helps that Disney has The Mandalorian, which of course I'm sure you read it too. That's season 2 is coming out very soon, like
October.
Yeah. Was it October? So we got
October.
So we've got a lot of time until that comes out. So, so that's towards the end there. But I think they're very happy with what happened with Disney Plus, and it's the growth is increasing. Obviously, Apple hasn't said anything with the TV Plus what their numbers are, because I think a good majority of them are free, right? Because of their new devices. Yeah,
but even Disney Plus, I think if you're Verizon's on board with them.
That's true.
If you're a Verizon wireless customer, you could get some version of Disney Plus, and new Fire subscribers could get Disney Plus. And then I called them up once to yell at them and say I was going to disconnect and say, "Where's my Disney Plus?" And they're like, "Well, we don't have it for existing customers, but that may change." But that was months ago. So
bite me.
But
that's what you tell them.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the difference with them obviously is with Verizon, you get the Disney Plus, I think indefinitely, as long as you have the service from Verizon.
It's awesome.
So they don't have the same issue that Apple's, well, I don't know, issue or not, but Apple, obviously they only give you a year. So
yeah, we'll see where that goes.
And then they have the Mandalorian, which I think a lot of people who subscribe, I don't know if they're going to cancel and then rejoin back up in October. I bet a lot of people are doing that. But yeah, they have to be happy. They have money. I was down in Florida last week. I was at the Pro Bowl.
That's right. Yeah.
And Disney just has so much money. They're like,
oh yeah, it's insane.
Think about what they got, and they just keep getting more and more. We went to the Universal Studios, it's a weird setup, by the way, because they have Marvel. So Universal Studios has the Marvel characters for the ride. They have a Hulk ride and things like that, Spider-Man. But now that Disney bought Marvel, or at least they're showing Marvel on Disney Plus, I think their Universal's going to lose that. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do with the park.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And In fact, I forgot and don't have it in the show notes, but I think I'm going to put it in there. I think News Plus, the person that was running that has stepped down, so it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Because I unsubscribed from it because I just thought, $10 that's a lot of money for most of the stuff that's out there. And yeah, I got on Mac Rumors. I'll put a link show notes for that one. The head of business had stepped down after a lackluster start with News Plus. Not surprising, and I believe I've read places that why isn't this being bundled? I mean, it really should be. You're really going to have, but the problem is they've got all these 200,000 people, all the different magazines and the Wall Street Journal, all these folks, and they're not going to want to have this bundled to make it even less, getting even lesser money than they already are. So hard to say where that's going to go. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, I for the publications like Wall Street Journal, I think they still kept their own paywall.
Yeah. They did. Yep.
So it's not like for them, they're not gonna do worse. It's not gonna hurt them, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Because they still have their own subscribers, and then whoever comes through Apple comes through Apple. But it's gonna hurt Apple because they need to pay all these people for their content, and if people are subscribing, they're not gonna be able to do it. So, like you, we have it because my wife likes the Wall Street Journal, but
it's limited.
If we dropped it tomorrow, I wouldn't bat an eye or cry about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely my least favorite. Well, not my least favorite, but it's on the bottom of the list of services.
Not subscribing to Arcade either. So I'm not a gamer. So it's the same thing.
That might be tied with the news. I mean, actually, if somebody asked me if I'd rather have Arcade or news, I'd say Arcade. Okay. Personally. Yeah, but
I'm not a gamer. So I probably had to lean more towards the news because I get obsessed with looking at magazines and stuff, but seek out the free ones. But the article did say that Apple is said to be looking for a notable name in the publishing world to take over for this gal, Liz Schimel was her name.
Is it going to be a Murdoch?
Well, somebody who knows the publishing business, I would think.
Murdoch.
I mean, Apple's been smart looking for people.
Yeah, supposedly the woman who they hired, that she was in with the company. She had a good Rolodex of people. So probably she was hired so she could, her job was basically relations between the publications and Apple, right. And then I think she did something else. So I think they just used her for contacts.
Very possible. So the combination of subscriptions there, going from Disney Plus here to the News Plus for Apple. So we'll see how that goes. Other story caught my eye was Apple updated iCloud.com with a proper mobile website for both iOS and Android, for that matter. This is on The Verge. Apple updated its website because it was always, every time you went to iCloud.com, you had to go right on your iPhone. You had to go right to the iCloud settings. You had no choice.
Yeah, it wouldn't let you. Yeah, it wouldn't let you
so they apparently decided to change this. I haven't even tried it yet. I'm going to do it right now as I talk here. But the article did say that it's going to allow you to do it. And yeah, you tap continue. It does ask for your Face ID from your mobile phone. But it then brings you to the web-based settings, which is awesome. You never could do that because it would make you go to the photos, notes, reminders, Find My iPhone, the apps that are actually specific on the iOS device. And of course, on Android, you couldn't do it at all. I mean, I think I don't think it even worked.
I think the other good thing about too is you could log into a separate iCloud
right
from there too. So there's been instances where, I would be, I would need to log into my wife's iCloud for something, and rather than having to, I only have my phone with me, so rather than having to sign out of iCloud online
Yeah.
and doing all that thing. I could go on the website and do it that way.
Yeah.
And get what I need.
And like I mentioned, notes, photos, reminders, and Find My iPhone, Find My other iCloud services like Contacts, Calendar, and all the iWork suite, like Keynote numbers and Pages. It would not be available through the web-based lookup on an iOS device or Android device right at this time. But it's possible that Apple may add that in the future. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do it. I mean, it would only make sense.
Yeah, I posted something actually kind of funny the other day. In one of my groups, somebody in one of the other Facebook groups said, can I get my iCloud data on my Android phone?" And everybody kind of laughed and laughed and laughed, and then all of a sudden, now he can. So the joke's on us.
No, Apple is starting to embrace Android in more and more ways. I mean, they released a music app, so you can actually do Apple Music on an Android. So I'm starting to be impressed the fact that their services are more important for everybody than it is for just iOS or Apple.
Yeah, but the Apple lovers don't like that.
They don't, but you know what? Reality here. Gotta keep the stockholders happy, which they have because stock still keeps going up and up, and their investors happy as well as
but we have Apple devices. They shouldn't be able to watch the morning show. Come on.
I don't think they haven't done. They do. They don't think they did Apple TV. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
Is there Apple TV on Android now?
Oh, is there? I don't know.
I don't know. But there's Apple TV on everything else in the world. I think I could get Apple TV on my refrigerator if I tried.
You probably could. I mean, if you hack it, maybe. I'm gonna check. Oh my gosh, is it on here? No. Okay, no, it's not available. It's only Apple Music. So at least that's a good thing. They kept that strictly to everything else but Android. Your smart TVs.
It will get there.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Android tablets are pretty much a bust at this point. So you aren't seeing too many of them anymore. So yeah, we'll definitely see where that goes. So other story: Apple now offers iPhone repairs in the comfort of your own home. Finding some great articles here on The Verge. They started offering a new repair service. One of its authorized service providers will come to your home or office to repair your device. The service, which was first spotted by Mac Rumors, can be accessed through the Apple support site, where under certain circumstances, you'll now see an on-site repair option in addition to existing in-store and mail-in services. It's in select locations, I believe. Oh yeah, it's in the big cities, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, New York, and Los Angeles, of course, and San Francisco, of course. So those are the cities it's got so far, and it'll cover certain kinds of repairs like broken screen, things like that. What do you think of this?
I definitely don't want that job.
Yeah, have to go to someone's house and find a place to sit down.
Go to somebody's house and repair somebody's phone while they watch you. I don't know who they would offer that to and why.
It's only people in those certain cities, and it'll depend. I guess it's specific to whatever the repair is. So,
right? Do they have to pay extra for it?
They do. That's the one thing it says. It notes that there is this quote unquote on-site visit fee, which may be charged in addition to the regular repair costs. So who knows how much that? I mean, I can see that it is a lot more convenient, but for a much long period of time it's going to take for you to arrange to be home and making the time for it, I would think you'd have just much better experience just going to an Apple store. But there are many people out there that aren't near an Apple store. But for right now,
well, I'm also thinking people who can't drive and elderly people, I guess, might have been tired of listening to the people who's like, well, I can't get to an Apple store and Apple, blah blah blah. So
far, it's just iPhones. I don't think about it. Don't see anything mentioned on iPads. Definitely not Macs. So we'll see where this goes. Should be interesting to see what happens. And I thought that was Interesting story.
Yeah, definitely.
Last one I found was on Mac Rumors. This is Apple has now added universal purchases to iOS, tvOS, and macOS in Xcode 11.4, which is the latest beta, which we'll be talking about in just a minute. And it'll allow developers who make a Mac app and an iOS app to sell them in a single bundle, which you weren't able to do before. Just like have been some app developers who like to single out iOS apps too, iPad or iPhone. It looks like now you're going to be able to universalize it across all the versions, so all four: iOS, iPad, Mac, and tvOS. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, there's not. While you're talking, I'm thinking of how many apps really with cross devices that I would pay for on both. I mean, the way it's been is you pay for it on one, and then there's like download a companion app for the other or something like that. But it's either going to be good or bad. Either it's going to make things more expensive or cheaper for the same things that we had before, or they'll be able to break things up, or even there'll be more opportunity to make apps that work on both devices well, which would be really a good thing.
Yeah.
And if that's maybe a way to get the iPad a little more friendly for things you need to do that you could only do on the Mac, that might be a good thing too. So we'll see what it does to pricing. I don't, if the developers get greedy about it, then it's going to be a bad thing. But if they do it right, it should be good.
Yeah, no, it should definitely be interesting to see where that goes. But speaking of beta, your beta's back. Yeah, you were going through withdrawal, weren't you?
Was it a whole week? Was it a week, or was it a week or two? No, it was 1 week.
I think it was 8 days. That's what they said.
It was.
I know you were going through some major withdrawal. I just have this feeling.
Well, things were working perfectly, and I, even though everything was working perfectly, I felt empty inside. That this is something supposed to happen. So
you've already loaded them up. It came out today, right? As we record this.
Yeah, I've got it on.
Everything's locked and loaded, ready to go, right?
They released betas on all devices. Catalina.
I'm looking in my developer account right now, and
the Apple Watch and the Apple TV. So
we got some discussion here.
Yeah, I had a weird issue. So I updated my phone, no problem, and then I updated my Macs, no problem. And then I went to update my iPads and my watch, and then it would get to a certain point, and then it would say, this will resume when you get an internet connection, and nothing changed. My internet was fine. So, I thought maybe Apple panicked and, pulled the beta and didn't want anybody putting it on there, but it came back. So, nothing.
I'm looking through the new features. I mean, I have a link to 9to5Mac, who is just on top of things, getting that information. They get it a lot quicker than I would, so I'm going to give them credit for that. And looks like we just talked about the developers and bundling, so single purchase. There's a new feature called Car Key, which is featured in iOS 13. This is iOS 13.4. We're in beta 1. I don't know. Did it get released out to the public yet? I don't know if it's it usually comes
a couple days later.
A couple days later. So, which is going to bring support for unlocking, driving, and sharing NFC car keys. I mean, this is all public knowledge anyway. We're not hiding anything here. So,
it's on Mac Rumors.
Yeah, it's all over the place. So it's not like you can't go find this. We can talk about it, even though we're both beta testers. The update also brought support to iCloud Drive folder sharing. Wow, that's going to be that's big.
It took me a while to figure out how to do it, but just so everybody knows how it's going to be, you go into the Files app, you find a folder, but it can't be one of the system folders. Like it has to be as a normal folder. And if you hold it down, put your finger and hold down and say share, one of the things will say add people or something like that, people sharing, and you click on that. That's how you share that folder. Um, I haven't tried it yet to actually share it because I don't have anybody to share things
Well, you
with.
might have
But
me because I have this. Oh, it's still downloading. It was waiting for. I thought it had started installing it. I won't be able to do it while we're recording this because my
so
iPad
wait,
is my iPad is installing. We could try it.
We could drop Google. We're going to drop Google Docs next week then, right?
Yeah, we might have to. Yeah, we might do that. We can.
I think we should try it.
We'll try it out and do a page document, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think whatever you could put a text file in there. You could put whatever file you want in there.
Yeah,
so.
for formatting, it's easier because of putting up in the show notes. So cool. Well,
so that's cool.
I didn't realize my test iPad, not my primary iPad. Just make sure everybody knows that. That is, it's installing right now. So, that's that's definitely gonna be something I think is gonna be interesting to see where that goes. This car key thing is gonna be interesting because the NFC car keys, that means it'll bring support for unlocking, driving, and sharing your NFC car keys. I'd be curious to see how that all works.
Yeah. I guess you'll need a car that does that, but yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, you have to have. Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to tap into Tesla because I know Tesla doesn't directly support iOS stuff.
Right.
But because it's NFC, it's standard, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. It's got support for all new call controls and third-party navigation and CarPlay, which should be interesting.
Saw that.
Yeah. There's new keyboard shortcuts that are available in the Photos and iPad OS, which allows you to quickly navigate between tabs, and search and create albums while full screen mode. But you can also delete, duplicate, and edit in edit mode using a keyboard. I did see that they added some of the icons back into Mail. I don't know if that was mentioned here.
They did this so right after I installed the beta, right after I installed it and went into Mail, I went to delete something and I flagged it, and
because they rearranged them, so
it's horrible. My muscle memory is just goes to the same place. So every time I get a spam email, I hit flag. So right now, I think next week I have a date with the Nigerian prince. On Wednesday, I have to follow
all those those spam emails, right?
Yeah, I have to follow up with some sexual enhancement pills on Wednesday. No, it's bad. It's like they moved the flag button right where the delete button is, and it's on the left. So just looking on it, it's on the left, very left is delete. Then you got a folder icon, which I kind of like because you always had to hit the arrow before to move it to a folder. The flag, which I would never use because I don't do that, and then the arrow that gives you more functions.
Yeah.
What I would love to see is a way to change the bottom row.
Yeah, be able to customize the way you want it.
Yeah, I mean, why can't I do that? Move it back. I would get rid of the flag and put something else there. But no, that's what we get. So
well, it's beta 1. Don't worry. There's going to be a lot more going. You'll get to rip apart the next version of the beta.
Well, believe me, when they roll this out, people are going to be.
Oh, I bet it's going to change next beta.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's horrible.
And also mentioned. There's as I said, there's an article, the bad design. They're saying that it fixes the bad design, so we'll see where that goes.
Supposedly it was like this in iOS 12 or 11.
Yeah.
It was iOS 7. So not the iOS 11.
Yeah.
I don't remember looking at that.
Federico Vitucci, he noted, because he's the shortcuts guy, that they're adding a new Shazam action in shortcuts. They'll let you run it in line using the mic to recognize songs instead of you'll get much richer results, and it'll give other different metadata like a music URL of a song. That's pretty cool. Since Apple bought Shazam, they're doing more and more things to integrate that service with the music more than ever before. Don't you think?
Yep. See that. And then what the next one is iOS, iPad OS hardware key remapping.
Yep.
trying to figure out what that even means. Remapping hardware keys on the key. Oh, okay. So if you have a physical Bluetooth or Apple keyboard, you could actually map the keys to be different things, which is kind of neat.
Yep, and then on the Apple Watch, they are going to be bringing in-app purchases to the Apple Watch, and Watch OS 6.2 will be the next version. That's in beta right now. I'm assuming you haven't done your watch yet.
No, I have.
Oh, you didn't? Man, you don't waste any time.
No, it's all fat. I do it all in one swoop.
You just like swoop in, and you got Catalina beta, you got the iOS, iPad OS. Did you go to tvOS yet?
No, it does it on some, I think. But yeah, for like 1 hour every week, there's a period where nobody could possibly reach me on any of my devices because they're all in the middle of doing an update. So it's like I'm off the grid for an hour while everything's updating.
So while everybody listens to us talking about betas, I can always put that disclaimer out here. Proceed with caution. Do not install beta software on a device if you want it to be working properly.
I can tell you, there's nothing on this beta that I would rush out to do right now.
So if you do public beta, either make sure you have multiple separate devices like I do, or just wait, because you'll thank us later. Because that's what beta testing is for. It's for testing things, and you can easily not have a happy device if you were not you're not being smart and don't install them. So, but since Warren's on the show, it's always fun to talk about. So we'll continue to have that session every time there's a new beta that comes out. So
it's fun to get a sneak peek of what's coming, which is the only reason I do it, basically, and because I'm pretty good at being, I could figure out a way to revert most of the stuff back. The watch, I tell people that's like a tattoo. You don't want to do it. That's permanent. So I'm always cautious with the watch, but for the most part, with the iPads and the iPhones and
you
the
always
Macs,
can revert back, right?
There's always a way to revert. Take a backup. There's nothing that you can do that would break it.
Yeah. So let's talk a little about security. We don't talk about security too often. iOS 13, and it's and any device that's running iOS for that matter is probably one of the most secure in the world. But there are some settings you may want to change in order to keep it even more secure. The first thing you can do is you can disable the Lightning port for data transfer, because that let's say someone picks up your phone and they they have a Lightning cable and they can plug it in their computer. Well, they could easily transfer anything off if you don't have this port disabled, and you can always re-enable it later if you have to use it for something. Do you use the transfer at all? Do you ever have to transfer stuff? I don't do it very often.
Not a lot, but I don't turn it off. I mean, it's not terribly easy. If somebody gets your phone, it's still going to ask you to trust and put in your.
But it's something good to know.
I mean, of course, if you're walking, you lose your phone, and then somebody happens to have a gray key box sitting around, they might be.
And even the other thing to be aware of, plugging in your devices into any unknown USB port for charging can be a security risk. That's why when I see those stations that are, especially I remember when I was at CES, they had those stack stations that you can lock it in your phone into the little compartment with a key or whatever it is so it could charge. I have no idea where that's plugged into. You got to be very leery of any. If you don't know who the person is or where it's being plugged into, don't plug it in. I know everybody's desperate to get their phone charged, but you know what? That's why we talked about a couple episodes ago about having portable batteries. They're so cheap now. Make sure you have one of those with you. So don't plug into an unknown port. But
this was a public service announcement.
It is a public service announcement.
Yes. In touch with iOS. Don't plug into unknown places. Yeah.
Don't do it. When you want to disable the access to the Lightning port for data transfer, these are the steps you have to perform. So what you do is go into the settings app, and then you navigate to Face ID, Touch ID, and passcode. Then you enter your passcode. Hopefully all of you have a passcode, which I'll talk about in a minute. There is an option in the Face ID and passcode at the towards the bottom, it says USB accessories. You just tick that toggle and it goes turns off. And now the phone is locked from ever being connected. And you can always go back later if you have to. If you're one that likes to do backups on your Mac or your PC, using either iTunes or even using an app like iMazing to do backups. So some people like to do the backups and just don't like to use iCloud. But you and I both use iCloud, and I think it just works. Other thing to keeping your devices secure is a passcode. Now, I use the 6-digit passcode. I mean, I like just numbers. And if you do 6 digits, it usually is pretty secure. Do you do 6 or 4 or letters?
I do 4. I'm bad. I'm very bad. Don't do, what is the saying? Don't do as I say, not what I do.
Yeah.
I think so do that one.
I mean, if you're using a 4-digit passcode, you should convert to 6 digits. It's not that hard. I added 2 digits to the code I had always been using before. I understand. I mean, there's some people that use consecutive numbers, and it warns you, don't do that. It's anybody's going to be able to figure that out, but some people, they like to have the easy way of getting into their phones, but you'll be sorry.
Yeah. What it is some people who not share, but some, the kids' phones, you don't want them to have a crazy password. And then my wife and I both know each other's passwords if we need it.
Right. Exactly.
And you don't want to make it too complicated. So, but I guess a tip would be if you have a phone that you need to, check here and there, you could put an alternate thumbprint or Face ID print in there if you want to do that.
Yeah,
it's probably a lot more secure than.
So how to do that? You want to go into the same place we just went into as I described by shutting the port off. Is opening the settings app. You go into Face ID, Touch ID, and passcode. Put in your passcode. Those people with 4 digits, you're changing them to 6. Enter that existing passcode. Select passcode options. You can select the 6-digit or a custom numeric code and enter at least 6 digits in that passcode. And then you also have options to do a custom alphanumeric code if you wanted to do it that way. But that's a little more extra. I mean, ATMs, you use digit number of passcodes for your PIN. I just don't find it that efficient to be doing alphanumeric, but you can do it if you want to, and you can do uppercase and lowercase. Special characters are the most secure option, but they're the most difficult to unlock. So that's just proceed that way, and when you decide, because when you come to that menu, it's going to give you the 3 options: custom and alphanumeric, custom numeric, or the 4-digit. The custom numeric would give you the 6 digits. So put your 6 digits in. And it'll ask you to enter it in a second time, and then boom, you're set. But of course, you're using Face ID on your newer model iPhones, the 10 and higher. Why not just use Face ID? Well, you have to have a passcode as well. So it's kind of both ways. Because if you don't know if the Face ID for some reason stops working or doesn't work properly, you can always go back to the passcode and enter it, right?
Yep. And with those passwords, just fun fact, they were talking about the gray key before the.
Yep.
What did they say? If you had a 4-digit passcode, the gray key could crack that in like 5 minutes. If you had a 6-digit, it was like a couple of hours, and then if you had the alphanumeric, it was like a few days. So you could just see how. Right. The level of difficulty to get into a certain type of password is, but then again, you don't want to make it crazy where you forget it. Kind of remember it, and don't write it down on Post-it notes.
Oh gosh, no!
Just try to remember it.
So many people write down their sticky notes on their desks.
Yeah, when I go to fix people's computers and ask them a password, they pull out their address book, and I'm like,
their address book or their password protected Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Or no password at all on the spreadsheet. Oh, let me pull this up.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it right. Like people have a file on the desktop called passwords that's not password protected. And, it's
kind of a giveaway. And then it's syncing on OneDrive or one of your cloud-based backup systems, and of course that file's right there in plain view. I mean, obviously only you can see it in most cases, but if someone were to get in there, they could easily grab all that. So don't do that, please.
You probably want to make it a little bit more difficult for somebody to.
That's why we use programs like 1Password, and they call it 1Password for some reason, because you only have to remember 1Password. And just a shout out to our friends for 1Password.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to mention about security is iMessages. Now, iMessages are all encrypted, so when they're stored on devices and on iCloud, they are encrypted and they can't be cracked in any way. But there is some added piece of security if you wanted to. Some additional security and privacy. You may want to have older conversations, because if you have any incriminating conversations, you don't want them to ever show back up again. Might not be a bad idea to set it to delete them first at a certain time. You don't have to do this, but I think this is a good idea. So the way you do to set up the auto removal on the older messages, you follow these steps. You go in and you open up the settings app, and then you navigate to messages. And then there's a choice to keep messages. And you have three choices. It's 30 days, 1 year, or forever. So if you want to keep the messages only for a certain period of time, for like a year, then you could do that. I mean, that might be a good thing. If you keep them forever, remember, everything is there until you delete it. So as far as iMessages. And I know people are notorious for having thousands and thousands of iMessages in their iPhones, and that takes up lots of space too. Think about it that way too.
Yeah, you could actually see how much room those are taking if you go into settings, general usage, right? General iPhone settings, general iPhone storage, and then it will actually one of the list in the bottom will be messages, and it will show you how much space it's taking, and it will tell you what attachments are probably taking the most amount of those. So clean those up if you need to.
Yes, you do. An added bonus, not a security thing, but more of a maintenance thing, is clear out all those messages. You have too many of them.
Well, the GIFs.
All the GIFs and the
stickers and all that.
Stickers and the and then here's another security tip is audit privacy settings for apps. Now, a lot of apps want to have access to things like, and remember I mentioned previously that why does Dunkin' Donuts need access to my Bluetooth? I mean, I never understood why that was. Might be for some reason, but I don't want them to have access to my Bluetooth. Would you?
I use the app and I try to, I think I pay for it with the app, but it's just a barcode, so I don't.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's just a barcode. You go to the drive-thru, you show it just like at Starbucks. Here's my payment, and then you're done.
As long as I get my coffee, I mean, I would turn on even more services if it got me coffee. I mean, I would.
If you give me free coffee, I say, oh yeah, we're doing it because we're going to give you some free coffee. Oh, okay.
Sure.
Maybe I might consider it.
Turn on Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, whatever.
So
whatever they want.
So where you got to go is you got to go into the settings again. Here we're in settings. You click the privacy tab there, to choice, and then disable apps, and then the categories that you no longer want people to have access to for a particular iOS service would be including contacts, Bluetooth, microphone, speech recognition, camera, health, file and folders, and location services. So if you have a lot of apps like I do, you're going to have a large laundry list of apps to be ticking the slider to shut it off. So I would definitely would go through and do that if you want. So also two more things I'll mention. If you don't like Face ID or Touch ID, depending on the phone you have, and you can disable the biometrics. It does require a passcode, and there's a couple steps here you have to do in order to do that. To disable the biometrics, you put in the required passcodes, and then you unlock your device, and you press and hold the volume up or down button along with the sleep and wake button. When the power off button displays, press the power button again. Then it will ask you to enter your passcode to unlock it, and if when you do that, you also can re-enable that same step. I would leave it alone. I mean, Touch ID and Face ID, I think, are very, very helpful. And what they say with Face ID is like 1 million. It would take months, if not years, to crack Face ID. Wasn't that what they said?
And they said that when they first switched to it, yeah. They were touting it because people were crying over the Touch ID going away. But yeah, I mean, you hear, was it like 1 or 2 stories where people who kind of look alike could do it, but for the most part, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's getting into that.
Nope. So, all right. I hope that was helpful. A lot of security discussion, but it's always good to I know we've talked about it many times, but it's something you definitely should be aware of when it comes to keeping your device secure. So, let's move on. I wanted to talk a little bit about the photo formats on the iPhone and clearing up everybody understanding what that's all about. We've talked about this before, but you know what? I happened to help somebody at my office and to talk to her and said, you have the HEIC format, but unfortunately, when you send the photo over to your PC for work, you can't convert it because Windows, of course, doesn't have built-in converter. So why would you want to do that? You got to convert it. And unfortunately, when it forwards over, and especially if you use something like OneDrive to forward it over, it's going to stay in the HEIC format. And a little bit of background on what that is. It's these are images that are more compressed in size. So for those of you who have less space on your iPhone, like a 64 gigabyte, it does come in handy because it does save a lot of space on photos. Have you noticed any space savings with these files?
I have not personally, but I mean, I've seen the raw. I've opened a raw file, and they look the same to me. I can't tell visually that they're better or not, but I haven't noticed anything. But then again, it would have been a couple of generations of phones ago, right? Where that they converted over to that. So yes, you would have had to ask me 2 years ago, man. I don't remember.
True. And what I would do is JPEG and HEIC format is pretty much, the same quality. So why not just set it to JPEG format to begin with? I mean, it'll stay on there. And if you have a phone that doesn't have as much space, I have a 256 gigabyte iPhone, so I don't think I have to worry about space too much. But a lot of you might be space challenged as far as that goes, stored locally on your phone. So do this with caution, understanding that it's going to probably increase the space on your camera, on your iPhone. And the way to do this is you go into settings and then you look for cameras. Then you scroll down camera, not cameras. There's only one camera. Well, there actually is 3. Depending on the iPhone you have. So go into settings, then the camera, and then scroll down in that menu all the way down towards the middle there. There's going to be a selection called formats. Once you select formats, change it from high efficiency, which is where the HEIC files were, to most compatible. And then once you set it to that means every time you take a picture, and it's going to be in the JPEG format instead. And then it's always compatible, and you don't have to worry about it. Sooner or later, I would think Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, they might add a built-in converter. You would hope at some point.
I think they do. I think Windows 10.
But you have to. It's third party, and I think you have to go to the Windows Store in order to get it. I don't know if it was an actual, unless it's on my. Unless it is a Microsoft tool, and of course, a lot of companies are going to probably block it because it's not, approved for information security purposes.
I'll test it out. I'll try to open one, but I can swear the last time I tried to open one on Windows, it just kind of
on Macs, no problem. It's already built in, so you don't have to. If you're a Mac user, which I think what most of our listeners are Mac users, so it's probably not relevant for you because if you do send them to your Mac. And hopefully maybe you're even luckier and you work at a company that lets you use a Mac, then this doesn't mean anything to you because you can send those files over and be able to easily convert them over to JPEG for whatever you need it for. So be aware of that. The HEIC format is what Apple has now. Is when it takes those pictures by default. Let's see what else we have here. Oh yes. How to use the Apple Watch Noise app. Have you used the Noise app before?
Yeah, it's fun. It's my son loves it. Because he doesn't like loud noise, but we'll be in a place where it's loud, and he'll just show me. He's like, "Dad, look!" He's like, "It's in the red." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yeah, great. And so what actually made me do it was when I was in meetings this past week, and we're in the foyer and there's 200 plus people in the foyer talking all at once, and it was so ridiculously loud. And this hotel obviously was echoing a lot of sounds. So I was curious. Let me pull this out. I haven't looked at this in a while, and I pulled up my my Noise app, and it was pushing 90 decibels. And that's for just talk, people talking. And it just was crazy. You could barely hear yourself, and really crazy. Listen closely when people were having conversations with you because there's so many people talking all at once. So
we were at the Pro Bowl, and it was the same way. It was crazy. Yeah, it's fun.
So, but it's a great app to have on the Apple Watch. I mean, I think it started with the Series 3 or Series 4. Well, is it any? It's any, or it has to be the 4, right? Because
I think it's a 4.
I think the 3 doesn't have the sensor. I don't remember, but
I'm looking into it. Let's see.
But that's another good tip to utilize the Apple Watch Noise app. I think you guys would be really liking that.
It's Series 4 or later.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to set it up, you open a Noise app on the Apple Watch, you turn enable to turn it on, and then you can measure around you. And then you could also get notifications on it. So if it starts to get too loud around you, it will notify you that you're, in case you don't know that your ears are bleeding, your watch will tell you that your ears are bleeding. So
speaking of ears bleeding, those emergency alerts and Amber Alerts, you have yours turned on?
Evidently I do.
Because all of a sudden there'd be a flood warning at 2:00 in the morning and you'd be going, no, I don't want this. All local governments and agencies have send notifications about these things, like extreme weather, Amber Alerts, presidential alerts, warns you of a variety of emergencies. They are relevant and useful, but not everybody wants to receive them. I don't necessarily. I mean, I lived all these years without hearing those alerts. I mean, if I can hear the tornado siren outside my door, wherever the tornado siren is, when there's a tornado coming, and I can hear that. So,
in Hawaii, they had a fake nuclear attack.
Exactly.
So I don't want that either.
Yeah. So if I wouldn't have saw that, well, everybody else would have been panicking, but in Hawaii,
Nearsafe sleeping quietly in his bed while everybody's running in the streets, setting things on fire.
And this is actually an interesting place to go. If you go into settings and you go into notifications, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's some government alerts. You can turn all of them off. There's 3 of them: Amber Alerts, emergency alerts, and public safety alerts. If you feel that you want to be safe and have them on, then by all means leave them on. But this is a way to turn all of those off so you're never bothered. I haven't had them on for quite a while, and unfortunately they don't have I don't think they have a do not disturb part of that. But it does not work with it.
What's funny is when you go like into an office after like it happens and like everybody's like, did you get that did you get that big alert in like 4:00 in the morning? Oh yeah, I got that alert. So
I woke up. I can't sleep, and
it's a water cooler moment.
And it's just like a flash flood watch.
Yeah, exactly. I think those have calmed down. I used to get them a lot more, but
yeah, it seems like it. I mean, obviously, it depends on where you live and as far as your area. If you're getting a lot of those types of notifications, I mean, you hear the sirens if there's a tornado or for a hurricane or any of those types of major events. So
just sleep through it.
It also is good when you're in this actual notifications section where I just mentioned. You can actually go in and control what apps tell you what. And if you don't want any more of those banners and sounds and badges and all that stuff popping up, you can turn all that off. And I do that for a lot of apps because it drives me crazy. Some of these apps that are just so aggressive and sending things all the time. I don't need to know about this. Leave me alone. Just turn it off.
Yeah, I'm the same. I have OCD with the badges. I like to.
You like the badges?
I like to make sure. Well, I like them. I just don't like getting. My phone is in a normal condition would have no badges ever showing. Yeah, so that's my goal, not to have any badges showing.
No, don't need those stinking badges.
I don't want your badges. So there you
go. So that was some of the tips. And anyway, we had some great tips in the show today, and a good thing about security. I really enjoyed it. I'll put you on the spot. I didn't have an app this week. Did you have an app that you had come across? Are we gonna?
Yeah, my app of the week is the Iowa Caucus App.
I wasn't going to talk about that.
That's the app of the week. That has to. It's just one of those days where you're happy that you don't do that stuff. You don't develop that stuff.
Oh my gosh!
You could just imagine that company just getting hammered with anger and laughter.
I'm not even putting a link in the show notes to that app. I'll be honest with you. I'll be able to know we talked about it because that's all how bad it is.
I don't even know if the public has it or not. But whatever. Don't you test that like multiple times?
I couldn't believe that. Maybe we need to talk about that. Maybe not. Let's not talk about it on Back to the Future Go.
That's not my pick of the week. Then.
Yeah, no, it's only here. No, we're fine here. We're not going there.
There you go.
So,
cool.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @InTouchWithIOS. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio. Or better yet, just go right to our website at InTouchWithIOS.com, where all links to all ways listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. And Warren, thanks for being here again.
Thank you. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and In Touch with iOS. And
you can find him on Facebook. That's his favorite place.
Yeah, well, that's where I hang out.
Appreciate you being here. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.